disregarding your growth for dreams. A partner who doesn't support your goals or make you feel guilty for wanting more is someone who's threatened by your growth. Love should inspire, not stifle. Hello, welcome back to Dr. Frida's Power Sessions, where in just 30 minutes, we're going to dive deep into all things life, love, and relationships. I'm Dr. Frida, and I am your favorite certified transformational life and relationship coach. And I'm here to help you embrace your worth and navigate relationships with intention and confidence. So, we only have 30 minutes, so let's dive deep into it. Today, we're getting real about a topic that can save you from a lot of unnecessary heartbreak. And you know what it is. It may not be the top of your mind, but there are heartbreak red flags that you cannot ignore in relationships. It's the title of the podcast, which is the reason why you popped into this video. You was led to listen to this video. So, red flags you cannot ignore in relationships. And let me just preface this by saying there is no perfect person. There is no perfect relationship, but there are some things that you are not willing to put up with or to ignore. And when I'm talking about ignoring, I'm talking about those red flags that you just cannot ignore. Okay. So I don't care if you're single, if you're dating, or even in a long term relationship, whether you're married or cohabitating, recognizing these warning signs can make all the difference between settling for dysfunction or thriving in a healthy partnership. Okay. And I actually was coaching a lady who was married. She actually got married at a very young age. And I say young, I mean like 20, 21. And so she married her high school love. And as we all do, we grow, we change, we mature, our likes become dislikes sometimes, but that's natural to be, to change, to evolve as a person, right? And she was saying that her husband, if you will, was not evolving or changing with her. And they have, I think, 3 or 4 kids. And she just felt stuck. And I was like, no, baby, you're never stuck. I don't care if you got no kids, 5 kids, you're not stuck. But I wanted to go back because I wanted to see, yeah, you all married at a young age, but were there some telltale signs or some signs that I don't like this? I don't like this habit. I don't like this behavior. I don't like this characteristic trait before you even got married. Because I always tell every client that I work with, whether you're with this person for a month or for a lifetime, if you see this person for a lifetime or a life partner, don't go in trying to change this person. Okay? Period. Because that person, including yourself, will only change if you, he or she or they want to change. So if that person never changed, that person you're with right now, if he or she or they never change, are you willing to stay with them? Okay. And I'm not talking about as people evolve and grow, because some people evolve and grow as we all should, but some people don't. Some people are comfortable being comfortable, and you have to accept that. Okay. So if that person never changed, are you willing to still thug it out with that person? Are you still willing to stay with that person? Okay. So that's a question. That's just a sidebar to ask yourself. Now, let's go back because I kind of got off a tangent talking about one of my clients, and I love my clients, and they inspire me as much as I inspire them. At least I hope I inspire them because they definitely inspire me. But I digress. Let's get back to understanding red flags because in this day and age, in the social media world, we like to throw out terms and leave it floating. And a lot of people are like wondering, well, what do they mean when they mean this term or this term? Or what do they mean when they say this thing? And I'm one of those learners, like I process things like differently, meaning if you're going to tell me a concept or you're going to tell me something that's going to better me, I need to know the why. I've always been like that. It has gotten me a lot of butt whoopings, but I need to know the why. So let's go back and let's talk about understanding red flags. What are these red flags? So, first thing first, red flags are warning signs that something may be off in a relationship or with that person. Now, these warning signs or red flags, if you will, can show up early or they can creep in over time. But here's the thing, when you ignore them saying, oh, that's strange that they do that, but it's okay. They didn't mean that. Ignoring those warning signs doesn't make them go away. It just delays the inevitable. Okay. It's going to creep back up and it's going to creep back up larger and larger and larger until you just like, I can't take this no more. Like, why are you doing this? And you blowing up. And that's when, because I have a lot of male clients too. And they're like, like my wife or my girlfriend just come out of nowhere and just say they fed up with this. And it's just like, no, these are things that we as women have been note taking. And we didn't want to say it then. And then one day we having a bad day, somebody cut us off, whatever. I don't know. Insert here. We having a bad day and we not here for it. We not here for their shenanigans. We ain't here for it. And that's the straw that broke the camel's back. And we're like done. Okay. Those warning signs were there before we got to that breaking point. It's in the Bible. Warning comes before destruction. Those signs, those red flags were always there, but we chose to ignore it because we thought we can change that person, or we thought that person wanted change for themselves and they're not going to do that anymore. Or we thought that that's just a one off. It's not going to happen again. No, baby girl. No, baby boy. No, no. Sometimes it's just who they are. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. They're just not the right person for you. They're just not your person. Okay. So ignoring those red flags doesn't make them mysteriously disappear. It only delay what's going to happen. And let's be honest, okay? Because you know how I am. I'm not gonna come to you and be like, I'm holier than thou, because this life is through trial and error as well. Okay. So we all been there. I've been there when I was married. Um, and I was married for only 10 months. Okay. I say 10, 10, 10. We dated for 10 months. We was engaged for 10 months and we divorced in 10 months. Okay. And I think that kind of like prelude me becoming a life and relationship coach after a lot of healing and therapy and self-discovery and purging. So other people can avoid my pitfalls, right? And sometimes those pitfalls or learned lessons are just what they are. They're not failures, they're just learned lessons. But I remember when we were dating, he would do some of the strangest things. You know, he'll call, like I am a pattern person. So he'll call every day, and then like on the weekends, he'll just send a text. Like it'll just be like random things where he just not communicating, right? Like disappear. And I'm like, well, maybe he's with his, he told me he with his boys and he probably had too many drinks and just having a good time. No. Fast forward, I realized after we divorced and he actually confided in me that he was dating three other women. Okay. Now I look, I don't know how he had that kind of time to date and be married to me and date these three other women. Okay. Maybe he was just giving them money. They ain't none of my business anymore. Okay. But those signs were there when we were dating. But I was just in that moment, like, oh, that's just how he is, and that's just like he communicate, and he still, respond to me and talk to me and call me, and he loves me. He's not doing anything. He with his boys, and his boys are married and or have girlfriends or domestic partners. They not doing nothing. They just hanging out because I hang out with my girls too. No, that was a red flag that I should have addressed. I should have addressed that a long time ago when we were dating. Okay. But I had to tell myself once I forgave him and myself in that situation that overlooking red flags is how we end up stuck in situationships that drain us mentally, emotionally, and sometimes even physically. Okay. And whether it's a situationship, a relationship, a job, any type of friendship, platonic, name it. Okay, we end up in these places that doesn't serve us. It takes away from us versus depositing into us because we see the red flags. And I'm a firm believer that we know what's best for us. We may not know it on the surface, but your soul knows it. And different things, whether it's deja vu, synchronicity, or just previous experiences, will come back and let you know, like, hey, this is not right. This is a warning sign. Warning, warning, stay away. Okay. And when I say warning, stay away, does that mean abruptly end things? Not necessarily. It depends what that red flag is, right? Talk about it. That's what communication comes in. If they don't want to talk about it, then that's another red flag. And we all know the answer to that. Okay. I'm here to help y'all. Okay. So let's talk about some top red flags that may come about. And this is platonic, romantic, any type of relationship, whether it's with a work relationship or a family member, or like I said, a romantic relationship, whether you're married or just dating. We're going to get into some red flags that can start out small and become very, very big. Okay. And I want you, as you're listening to this, whether you are listening to it in your car or looking at me on YouTube playing with my hair, as you see, like I had to get my hair straight in sidebar. I have ADHD conversation, but I had to get my hair straight in to get my ends clipped. And I'm a natural girl. And yeah, I had to, I love my straight hair, but I need some layers because I need some definition because I don't like this flat look. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Sorry. But anyway, let's jump into some red flags that people ignore. The first one, lack of communication or consistency. That's what I lacked when I was dating my ex-husband. Okay. This man would wine and dine me, love bomb me Monday through Thursday. Come Friday to Sunday, he is turning up. And that's even when after we got married. It just got worse when we got married because now we're living in the same household. And I'm like, that's not normal to just you're drunk and sleeping on your friend's sofa every weekend. Make that make sense to me. And I'm all about having a good time. Turn up, having a good time, enjoy yourself. But it is a fine line between respect and disrespect as well. And so if they are inconsistent with their words and actions or avoid having those difficult conversations when you bring it to their attention, that's a sign that they're not ready for real intimacy. Okay? Because intimacy is just not having sex. Actually, intimacy happens before sex. Communication is the foundation of any relationship. And without it, you're building on shaky ground. It's like building a house on sand. Okay? It's not going to work. It's not. Number two, controlling behavior or jealousy disguised as care. Those people that's always had to look at your phone or want to know your location or just all up in your business for no reason. I always wonder if that person, or even if it might be you, I don't know, you might be in somebody's house. If you have that type of time and energy to check on someone that much, where you have to know it is obviously a root cause and that's insecurity, but that's not what we're talking about today. But what I want to say is how you had that kind of time, because we all get 24 hours, and some days I wish I had 30 hours in a day because I do so much. So if you taking out time from yourself to pour and focus on somebody else and what they doing, do you really need that person? Are you really taking that time for yourself? What's going on? That it's a fine line between concern and control. You know, like if you have like my partner and I have sometimes I work late because I do have a 9 to 5, and I'm entertaining accounts and clients and things of that nature. And I have an entire district, like a region. And so sometimes, some days I will come home late at night. I'm gonna text him and say, "Hey babe, I'm on my way home." I get on Waze, I share my location. So he know like it's late at night, knowing this is my location, I'm headed home. That's different. That's because he's concerned. He does the same thing for me when he's out going to networking events, right? But if they're constantly checking up on you, monitoring who you were with, making you feel guilty for having a life outside of that relationship, that's not love. That's control. That is a red flag. Okay? Let it go. Number three, disrespecting boundaries. Everyone should have a boundary. Boundaries are set for you to protect yourself. It is your way of honoring who you are. Okay? Not so much protecting, but honoring who you are. Everyone has boundaries and everyone needs boundaries and enforce those boundaries. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual respect. If that person are constantly pushing your limits, dismissing your feelings, or making you question your own boundaries, it's a huge red flag. Let it go. It's not for you. Number four, emotionally unavailability. If someone is distant, shuts down emotionally, or avoids vulnerability, they're not ready to build something real with you. They're not even ready to have a relationship with themselves. Okay? You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't build a relationship with someone who keeps their walls up. I cannot tell you how many times I talk and coach people who are begging for their partner to be vulnerable and have an intimate conversation or relationship with them. And I have to always go back. You can't ask from a person what they don't have to give. They can't give what they don't have. And I'm not saying they may not ever have it, but what I am saying is right now, what you need, they don't have. And you're frustrating yourself and them because you're pulling something that they don't have to offer you. It's a red flag. Let it go. Number five, gaslighting or manipulation. Gaslighting makes you question your reality. If they're constantly shifting blame, they're not accepting responsibility or making you doubt your feelings or minimizing your concerns, that's a dangerous sign. Always trust your instincts. For women, our instincts, our intuition is in our womb. Okay? That womb is letting you know something is not right. Okay? And I don't care if that womb is in usage or not. is there. Okay. Trust your intuition. Period. Number 6, inconsistent effort and commitment. Love isn't just words. There's 5 love languages. Words of affirmation is like a minor love language of mine. I'm all about action. You can say all you want. I'm a writer. Like I can write and say everything I want to. But if my action is different, is it really love? Or am I just feeding you what I want you to know or hear? Right? Love isn't just words, it's action. So if their effort is only there when it's convenient for them, or they're sending mixed signals, that's not commitment. That's confusion. You can't operate in confusion. Number 7, disregarding your growth for dreams. A partner who doesn't support your goals or make you feel guilty for wanting more is someone who's threatened by your growth. Love should inspire, not stifle. Okay? And I remember my ex-husband would never compliment me. Once we got married, he would never compliment me. And I would get all types of accolades and just like all types of confirmations outside of my household, but I didn't want that. I wanted it from my husband. And later on, after we divorced, after maybe it was before he told me he had 3 other women on the side. He told me, I asked him, I said, why you never complimented me after we got married? Because it was some self-doubt in me. Maybe I let myself go. Maybe he's not attracted to me. And he was like, I never wanted you to realize how beautiful you are because you would leave me. That was all I needed to hear. I said your insecurities was pouring on me. Cause I was self-doubting myself. And I was like, I know I'm bad. Period. Look. Period. Straight hair, curly hair, no hair, long hair. I know who I am. So, but at that moment, it was a little bit of gaslighting. It was a little bit insecurities. It was that inconsistency, but it had nothing to do with me. Okay? All about him. Now, why do we ignore red flags? Let's be real. Why do we ignore them? Because it's the fear of being alone. We're not created to be alone. And sometimes it's because we see potential and hope that they'll change. I said that earlier. You don't marry potential, baby. If that person never changed, that's who they are. But this is the truth now. Potential is not a promise. You can't fall in love with someone's maybe. And let's not forget, attachment and familiarity can make us stay in situations that aren't serving us. And you got to remember, staying in that wrong relationship costs you your peace, your power, and your purpose. It's slowly eating and chipping away at you. And stress comes out in physical ways. You're getting sick. You're looking old before your time. You're not fun to be around. You always moody. No, nobody want to be around that. And you really want to attract somebody, but you're not in that right space to even attract that person. Okay? So now we know what red flags are. We know some examples of some red flags. How can you protect yourself from those red flags? Okay? So, first, trust your intuition. I said this earlier. If something feels off, it probably is. Your intuition never lies. Okay? It was a study that says your heart knows something like 3 seconds before your brain registers it. If you don't have that womb or in tune with that womb, get in tune with your heart, that heart chakra. And if you're not in tune with that, let's start doing some cleansing and some healing on that, because that is your gauge, your compass for a lot of things. Okay? Number 2, set clear boundaries. Boundaries protect your peace. And don't negotiate your standards for the sake of keeping someone around. Because when you make excuses for them, you give them excuses to hold this space in your life that no longer serve you. And that's not fair to you, and that's not fair to them. Number 3, observe patterns and not promises. I need you to pay attention to what they do, not just what they say. Actions reveal true intentions. Okay. Like I said, I can write you a whole story. I can write you sweet nothings. But if my actions do not dictate what I'm saying, you have to let that go. That's just like falling back in love with that potential. If that potential never change, that's that person. And you're doing that person a disservice by forcing him or her or they to conform to something that they're not even possibly ready to conform to. We all have our own life path. And if that person wants to change and evolve, it needs to be on their terms, not yours. Because if they change for you, it's not going to be sustainable. In fact, they might have some regret. They might be mad at you and have some resentment later down the line. So if they are not willing to change on their own or evolve, then that's a red flag. And that you have to make that decision that this person or this situation no longer serves me. Okay. And then lastly, prioritize your emotional health. This is so important. Remember, it's not selfish to choose yourself. As a matter of fact, you should always choose yourself first. If you don't choose yourself first, then how are you going to show up to be that mother, that father, that wife, that husband, that employee, that friend, that son, that daughter? How do you show up for other people if you don't even show up for yourself? You deserve a relationship where love feels safe and not a constant battle. Love should not be a war. You all are allies, not adversaries. And when you continue to live like adversaries, it's not sustainable. It's toxic for whoever else is in that house. Even if you have pets, they could pick up on that energy. It's toxic for you. It's toxic for the partner. It's toxic overall. And there's no growth. Okay. So I told y'all in these little 30 minutes, I come with these little tidbits. Okay. So whether you're commuting or you just winding down, I really hope, and I don't want to say hope because hope is so disempowering. I know that these messages are going to be bestowed upon the right people at the right time for the right reason. And so I just want to thank you all for just listening to me and making the necessary changes as you evolve in your life because I'm evolving as well. And I just love that we can evolve together. So here's the bottom line. I just had to say my little piece. Like I said earlier, love should feel safe. It should feel consistent. Love should be empowering. You know, you should be walking in with your head held high. If red flags are showing up, don't silence your intuition to keep peace. That's the biggest disservice you can do to yourself and to the partner. A healthy relationship isn't built on ignoring warning signs. It's built on mutual respect, trust, and genuine effort. I'm going to leave you with those nuggets. Thank you for tuning in to Dr. Frida's Power Session. And like I said earlier, if this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who needs to hear this. And remember, you hold the power to create the love you deserve. Until next time, stay empowered, stay intentional, and always, always choose you first. See you next time.